Moving container companies are a great DIY alternative to professional movers. The conversation usually goes as follows. Moving container companies are cheaper than professional movers, but more expensive than a rental truck. Choose them as your hybrid option. While that's mostly true, that is just not enough information to understand if moving containers are the right option for you. By the end of this video, you'll be one of the few people who fully understand moving container companies, their benefits, and when and if they're right for you, and which moving container companies are the best. If you're wondering why you should even believe me, well, I'm Sergio from Move Buddha. Move Buddha is a moving resource with a mission to make moving easier. We've done all the work in understanding the moving industry, so you don't have to. We help over 400,000 people move a year, and we've been doing this for almost a decade now. So what is a moving container company really? The way moving containers work is you book your container, the company drops it off at your origin, you load it, and they deliver it to your destination where you unload it. Then they come back to take the container away forever. To make sure that we really understand it, let's compare it to hiring a professional mover. Yes, moving container companies are a more affordable alternative to professional movers. In exchange for the money saved, you're in charge of packing, loading, unloading, and unpacking. You're also responsible for figuring out what moving equipment such as dollies and blankets you need, as well as supplies such as boxes and other packing materials. Essentially, the company is only responsible for providing the containers and delivering them to your destination. In contrast, professional movers not only offer packing and loading services, but they will also assign you an agent that will help you out through your entire process. And of course, they'll also provide the moving equipment and supplies. Since they're moving experts, they can work around strict HOA, city, and apartment complex rules. And they will have expertise in moving bulky, fragile, or temperature-sensitive items. On the other hand, one of the perks of moving containers that is often overlooked is that they double as a storage container if you need it. Yeah, professional movers commonly offer storage, but if you need storage for more than 30 days, moving container companies can make more sense. You can choose to store the containers at your home, which means you'll always have access to your items, or they can be stored at the company's facilities. Your choice. But rest assured, your items will remain in your container until you unload it at your destination. Finally, with moving container companies, if you're not pressed for time, you can move at your own pace. Container companies may give you a minimum of a 30-day rental period, which means you can spread out all of your work over the course of multiple days instead of just trying to do it all in one morning. As you can see, there are more benefits to moving containers than just price. So much so that sometimes it even makes sense to hire moving labor services through a third party to make up for some of its shortcomings as a moving option. However, nothing beats the tailored solutions and expertise of a professional mover. What I'm saying is that there is no universally better answer. For some people, moving container companies really are the most practical option. For others, it makes sense to put as much of it in the hands of professionals as possible. If you do choose to go with the professional mover route, please do not make the mistake that we see so often of choosing the mover that advertises crazy low prices only to provide a nightmare of experience. Instead, choose a reputable mover. How are you supposed to know what crazy low prices even are, you ask? Use our free moving cost calculator tool. Just plug in your moving dates, origin, destination, and move size, and you'll get an instant and ballpark estimate of your move cost. Not just for professional movers, but also for moving container companies. Hopefully now you have a better understanding of what a moving container is and how it compares to professional movers. If a professional mover makes more sense to you, see our list of recommended movers linked in the description. As far as moving containers go, these are our top picks. First is U-Pack. Chances are, if you're moving out of state, this is going to be your best moving container option. A few of their perks are, they have the best nationwide coverage, especially competitive prices at 100 to 250 mile range, no deposit required, the fastest delivery timeframes, online shipment tracking, and monthly storage availability. The one thing that really stands out to me about U-Pack is you only pay for the space that you use. For this to make sense, let me use a couple of real-life examples of people who moved with U-Pack. Chloe booked with U-Pack for her move from California to Utah. Her move was about the size of a large one-bedroom home, so it was unclear whether she would need 1 or 2 containers for her move. U-Pack let her know that they can go ahead and deliver 2 containers to her home, and if she only ended up using 1, she wouldn't be charged a penny more for the second one. Most people in this situation have to decide whether they'll take the risk of not having enough container space for their move or overbooking just to make sure, and therefore potentially overpaying. This peace of mind was a huge perk for Chloe, and she actually did end up needing both containers, so it was a good thing that she had this option. For larger moves, U-Pack has the option of using a freight trailer instead of a small container. Since Jason was moving his 4-bedroom home from Oregon to South Carolina, this is the option that he went with. He was initially quoted $6,100, but only ended up paying $4,500 after his items ended up taking up less space than originally planned. Because of this policy, Jason saved $1,600. By the way, both Jason and Chloe said that they would use U-Pack again and would recommend them to friends and family. Pods is another great moving container option. Among moving container companies, Pods is the household name, and they've certainly earned this reputation. They offer multiple moving container size options, so you have the flexibility to choose the one that you need for your move size, or you can get a couple of different sizes if you need more than one container. Pods also has different storage options, and they will allow you to keep the container either at your home or at their own facility, whichever works best for you. So it's a great option if you need to store your belongings for a longer period of time. Pods also allows you to take your time with the loading and unloading, so if that appeals to you, consider Pods. Since they are such a household name, sometimes their prices can be higher than the competition. This is especially true if you live further than 50 miles away from one of their facilities. So if you live closer to a Pods location, you'll get better prices. 1-800-PACK-RAT is an option similar to Pods in that it has multiple container sizes and generous loading and unloading timeframes. They'll even price match competitors, so you know you're not overpaying. If you live in a city with limited space to keep a storage container, you should strongly consider ZippyShell. So ZippyShell is another moving container company with the uniqueness of having street legal container sizes. This means that you can just park it just as you would a car, you just need to find a parking space for it. Their pricing structure is also set up in bare bones plus add-on style, which means that you have the option of paying relatively little if all you need is the absolute basics. Okay, so what if you're the total opposite? You're moving a large home and there's absolutely no way that a container that you can parallel park in New York City is going to cut it for your move. Movingplace. Movingplace is head and shoulders above the competition when it comes to offering full-size trailers for really big moves. As you may imagine, the issue here is that if you don't have much space to load, then there's little you can do to park a 28 or 53 foot trailer. Another slight limitation to Movingplace is that they'll only do moves that are over 250 miles. They will, however, ship your car. So yeah, if you have the space and a large home to move and you're willing to DIY the loading, consider Movingplace. Now U-Haul. Not the rental trucks though. They have their own containers creatively called U-Box. U-Box moving containers are cost-effective alternatives for small studio and one-bedroom apartment moves. U-Box is generally the cheapest option amongst these container companies, and I'd strongly recommend them for small, inexpensive moves. Think, for example, a college student move. If U-Box sounds like what you're looking for, you should also consider SmartBox. They're also a solid budget option, and they offer price matching. How much do moving container companies cost? For local moves, portable moving container companies can range from $150 to $400 for a single container and 1 month of storage. For large moves that require multiple containers, costs can range from $800 to $1,100. If you're moving long distance, moving pod costs can range from $1,000 to more than $7,000, depending on the distance and the number of containers your move requires. You'll have to call most companies to get pricing for interstate moves, but remember you can get a ballpark personalized estimate of moving costs by checking out our moving cost calculator that's linked in the description. Which size moving container do you need? Picking the container size that's right for your move is a little tricky. The answer will depend on the total volume of all the items that you're moving and the size containers the company offers. But to give you a general idea, a few items or a studio will require a 7-foot container, a 1 to 2 bedroom home will require a 12-foot container, a 3-bedroom home will require a 16-foot container, a 4-bedroom home will require a 16-foot plus 12-foot container, and a home that's larger than 5 will probably need 2 or more 16-foot containers. Remember, these estimates are based on average household sizes. You should work directly with each company to determine what size and how many containers you need. Are moving containers weatherproof and secure? All moving containers are generally weatherproof and can be locked for security. But over time, containers will get beat up, so you should always check for damage to the containers upon arrival. Do moving pods include moving labor? Most moving container companies offer moving labor as an add-on service. Hourly rates usually vary from $100 to $300 an hour, depending on the size of the move and how long you'll need the labor help. The best way to find labor-only moving services is on a website like Hire a Helper. How long can I store a moving container? Most moving containers will allow open-ended storage on a month-to-month basis. You can store the container on your property or at the closest company location for a monthly fee. The only exception is freight trailers. Freight trailers typically only allow for a maximum of 30 to 60 days of storage, and the trailer must be stored at the company location.